Will you follow me when the sky starts to change? Yeah, we won't be afraid. We'll never be the same again.
Hello, all you weebs out there, and welcome to Grappling with the Week, the show that brings you the hottest wrestling news and highlights from the steamy kitchens of NXT to the gritty, fast-paced action of AEW. We talk about it all. We're going to give our thoughts and opinions on all of that stuff, and hey, we're going to make sure that we end off with a nice, good discussion piece to really satiate that hunger for that wrestling content. We are brought to you by Anime We Studio, and we are hosting by the Weebs of the Ring. But enough of the silly introductions. Let's get right into the show. Welcome, good evening, morning, afternoon, whenever you're listening to this. We are the Weebs of the Ring. This is our new weekly show called Grappling with the Week. This is already episode 5 of this show. Can you believe it? We've been doing this for a little over a month now, and things have been pretty good with it. We've had some good discussions, some fun news to talk about. But if you are new here, I am, of course, one of your co-hosts tonight, your world champion Hawkins here to, defend the title, talk about things here and there about the wrestling going on within the week. And of course, I am never alone, for we have the genius of the mat himself, Drop This Box, joining us tonight. Drop, how you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good. Still currently sick. Have a cough for the most part. No runny nose or anything, but I'm trying to push through it. Decided not to really make content for today or tomorrow. I'm going to try to ease down a little bit because I could be delaying me recovering if I keep forcing myself to do that.
Yeah. No. People, ladies and gentlemen out there, it's always important to take breaks, whether you're sick, whether you just need that little mental day to just kind of relax. Be sure to take a break so that way you can rejuvenate your body and come back even stronger. So, yep, hopefully you're going to get feeling better. And, yeah, unfortunately, Vash is not joining us this week. He has some family joining in and all that, so they have to make sure Vash is sitting firmly at the left hand of the table. If you're wondering why he's not at the head of the table, well, that might be a question for him and his Marine brother. But we are going to go ahead and get right into it. We have a lot of news to kind of cover tonight, as well as our big topic that has been a very big, very toxic debate for a lot of people. But we'll keep things relatively smooth here tonight. But let's go into right to our Greater Wrestling Media segment. Now, this is a segment, if you're new here, that we use for highlighting any indie promotion we went to, any news we wanted to discuss, interesting documentaries or interviews from the week, and anything else on the grand scale of pro wrestling in the world. So we're going to start off with this first article that was really kind of cool. So Seth Rollins is open to a WWE executive or creative role within the company upon his retirement. Now, the source comes from an interview he did with Kim Bashin, and apologies if I'm pronouncing that name wrong, from the Bloomberg TV's YouTube channel. And we have a quote here, too, from Mr. Rollins about this, where he's saying, and I quote, "The end of my in-ring career is still a ways off, obviously. I mean, I'm closer to the end of my career than the beginning, but the end ain't here yet. I'm kind of in my prime right now. My mental and my physical are kind of locked in right now, where my physical hasn't declined too much, and my mental side is really on the rise as I'm starting to see the industry from a different angle. That part I'm really focused on. I think we're in the early stages of conversations about what it might look like for me in the future, and an executive role or in a creative role or whatever that may be. But again, that's in its infancy. That's like a, hey, maybe what would you think down the road? Right now, I'm focused on what I'm doing in the ring and helping out there as best as I can." So I took this statement, I took this kind of story as okay, I could kind of see this happening with Rollins. I could see him being somebody in the backstage, whether it's a producer role or, God forbid, he might take up a Triple H role or anything. I know we've seen wrestlers in the past and even in the present now kind of take on these roles coming up. I know CM Punk was actually one that a lot of people were talking about, oh, maybe he could take over NXT when Shawn's done with it. So yeah, a lot of possible names for the future of the backstage of everything. But how'd you take this news when you read it?
It's something I can definitely see him doing, once he's done retiring. Same thing with the whole CM Punk situation. I could definitely see him being one of the people that could potentially pick up NXT after Sean's all done with it, but it's definitely going to be really interesting to see. Sorry, I'm trying to...
No, you're good.
It's going to be very interesting to see where things go for him in the future. I mean, he still has a lot of time left, probably like his mid... Sorry, guys. Probably like maybe his mid 40s or whatever. He could possibly venture down that route or something.
Yeah. So
like
yeah,
38.
Definitely something. Yeah,
know.
he's only like 38, so he's still like pretty young, even in the business. I mean, I guess when you think about it in the business, he would be middle aged, I guess, because a lot of people kind of start slowing down in like their 40s, almost 50s, and all that. But yeah, I mean, I could see him definitely in one of those producer roles or something.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe something more. Yeah, we'll have to see when his career comes. But again, it's nice to see that the company too, like, they also acknowledge like the whole executive role too, because like that's something, you know, kind of big for somebody, and something that you can kind of take pride in working in a company, being like, oh, look at this, I'm recognized not only for my talents in the ring, but my mindset outside of the ring, because, you know, this company, this business actually wants me to be like a CEO or something. Not saying he's gonna be a CEO, but just like an executive role of that nature, being like, okay, yeah, that's great to hear, and kind of helps boost his own confidence for his career.
Definitely.
Oh yeah. But we're gonna move on to a fun little news article I found. So Michin made an appearance on the Speakeasy podcast, and she revealed that apparently a certain substance that was not allowed in the WWE, or at least like within their not risk management policy. I don't know why I almost said risk management policy. Their what is it? Their wellness policy. That's what it is. So marijuana, the good old, you know, spicy substance and all that. Apparently that is off the list of substances. And she actually added a little quote here. Because it's more legal, they've kind of accepted it. So before, they used to be, you know, MJ used to be on the drug list, and they took that off a couple years ago. So when I get home on Saturdays, I'll do that and just chill out all day, and then get back into the gym on Sunday. Sunday through Wednesday, I work out. So I just thought this was kind of cool, because like we've heard of a lot of people getting suspended because of the wellness policy and all that.
Yeah.
And just with the I guess the acceptance, we'll say, of that particular substance, it's good to know that the company's kind of being a little more lenient with it, but also just like there are benefits to marijuana as well. But it's just nice to see that the company is at least being a little bit more lenient on things like that.
Yeah, I agree. It's also, it could be, I know nowadays a lot of people use it for like health, when it comes to like their muscles or wherever the case may be, to help ease down the pain. So it's good something like that's been lifted.
Oh yeah. But just a nice little fun little article there. But from one fun article to one that's kind of got some nuance to it. Triple H the other day. When was this? This was 2/18, so Tuesday. Yeah. Back on Tuesday, Triple H made an announcement, and quoting his tweet here, the top independent wrestling prospects have been ID'd, and now we're ready to spotlight the best of the best. Here's your first look at the men's and women's WWE ID championships. Now, this apparently marks like the 20th title belts that they have in the company. Or at least like 20th, 21st, and all that. And I know one complaint people have with a lot of titles in a company is that just that oh, there are too many titles in this company. They need to give less titles, to give more opportunities, less title matches and all that, or like title stories and all that. And what's interesting though is that these are for the ID people. So apparently they're going to be going places, like going around the world or like around the Indies and all that, and defending this title. So I'm wondering what they're going to be doing with this and how they're going to be booking it. Because it's like, okay, are they only going to face people that are ID'd by WWE? Are they only going to be booked to face people that might possibly be ID'd by WWE? Because we know a lot of those stars are going to be part of Evolve that starts here soon, which I believe they started doing tapings recently with that. But yeah, what are your thoughts on this?
So I know the ID account quote tweeted Triple H to give a little more insight on this, where they're like, the first WWE ID champions will be determined in a tournament across the top independent wrestling promotions. The WWE ID championships will then be defended on the indies. Stay tuned to this account for more news soon. So probably on like a future episode of the show, you could probably do a follow-up report on this. But I would assume probably the companies that maybe they're in contact with when it comes to the people that they ID'd probably falls into that category, but I don't want to say for certain. I don't want to make assumptions without really looking at where the facts really come from. But like, to me personally, like, I don't have that many issues with it because I feel like it's just one of those things to help get their name out there, even though everybody knows what WWE is. It's just one of those things to like really expand them more, like outside of like a Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and Evolve, which is pretty much like Evolve, NXT, and then main roster. So it's like, this is just another way to get their name out there. And you have like a lot of people that are part of the ID program. Like you got Marcus Mathers, you got Sam Holloway, you got Zeta Steele, which is a personal favorite of mine, which I know she did a taping for Evolve, so she'll probably be on there. Freedom Ramsey, Aaron Roberts, Sean Legacy, just a couple people that we talked about on the show before when we talked about the ID names. I believe probably in like I'm not 100% sure if we did it on here, but probably like, actually it was in the plans originally before we launched this, but we never got to it. But just a couple of names out there. So, and I also know that Evolve is supposed to have their own championships there for like the men and the ladies too. So, I mean, it's an interesting concept, so we'll just see how it develops over time once we get more details on that. But it just basically another opportunity to really get people out there. And I'm also thinking maybe this is also a potential thing we see as well, where it maybe captures interest from other people that they're trying to ID to bring over to the company and stuff like that. Like I know for sure they're probably not going to do anything in like Ring of Honor. Like I know that for a fact.
Oh yeah, no.
I don't expect them to go over there or like obviously AEW is an independent promotion. But it's like, I don't expect them to do anything at Ring of Honor, anything along the lines of that. I could see like, you know, GCW, you know, stuff like that. But it's pretty cool. Let's see where it goes.
Yeah. What do you think of the designs of them? Like, what?
Let me see. Let me look at a picture of them.
Oh yeah.
I don't,
because yeah.
I don't know really. I mean, it doesn't really look like it's, at least from my point of view, I don't know if you really put the little what do you call it? The little bracket for whoever wins it on there. Doesn't really look like that's a thing, unless that's the little spinny thing is with the W on the sides. But I mean, they look pretty similar. Like besides like the middle piece, they look pretty similar to what the NXT championships look like. The only thing that really throws me off with a lot of these championships that they're making nowadays is like a little globe thing on it. 'Cause I don't really
Oh
mind
yeah,
I don't really mind the WWE logo on these things because again, that's just how they really
marketing.
how they market it nowadays. I kind of grew past that. I don't really give a shit. But it's
Yeah.
like I don't know, the little thing where you see like the globe on there kind of throws me off sometimes.
Yeah, because they usually use like the same globe design, like it's just the globe with the grid on it and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that usually kind of seems samey, but for me, I mean, these are fine, I guess. They kind
Yeah.
of look like those titles you would see in a
Mhm.
2K game, and it's just like, oh, those titles are cool, and then just kind of
Yeah.
scroll down to where the WWE title is and all
Yeah.
that. So yeah, I mean, they look fine. It is what it is. That at least, I mean, it doesn't look like they put in a lot of money into it.
No.
So
I'm just
but
curious about the longevity of it too.
yeah, that too. Like how long? Well, not only that, I guess, like how long they would do it, because obviously this is a program they kind of want to build and all that. But yeah, I mean, yeah, how long will they be? I guess will they be doing this? Maybe is the question. I mean, will they keep doing that, or would they just scrap it if it doesn't work out with it? Because that's the thing. Again, like you would have like some sort of booking logistics too with it, because it's like, okay, well, these people go to, let's say, I can't really name an indie promotion off the top of my head. Oh yeah, you mentioned GCW earlier, so like it's like, okay, they can go to GCW and all that, but it's like, would they fight somebody that's like kind of on the top of the card in that promotion? Would it be
Yeah.
maybe somebody that's more like in the mid card and all that? Because like, again, you get into like this weird booking almost trap where it's like, okay, well, they can't really win the title because they're not ID'd by WWE, but maybe if they do win the title, that's basically them being ID'd for the WWE or something, and like that's their announcement.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, because there's a possibility where I mean they mentioned like some tournament thing or whatever. There's a
Yeah.
possibility where they determine like whoever is ID'd probably has the title. And then
Hmm.
hypothetically for the men's, they can come across somebody like a Zilla Fatu potentially because he's not ID'd yet. You could possibly have a match. Maybe he wins, he gets ID'd.
Hmm.
Not 100%
Yeah.
sure what they're really gonna do with that.
Yeah, so we'll just have to wait and see how they decide to do it, and hopefully it works out well for all parties involved. But we're gonna move on to this next news story. So an Olympic gold
Ooh.
medalist, Olympic boxer Delicious Orie revealed to Talk Sport recently that he actually turned down a WWE contract. And, just kind of quote what he said here. They contacted me after the Olympics. They tried to sell me the package. I went out to Florida for a week. I got to experience their shows, the training, the acting. It was beautiful and amazing. Got to meet a lot of the superstars, and I got to meet the whole. Oh, sorry. And I got the whole immersive experience.
Oh.
So it was a hard decision. I was offered a contract, so I needed a few weeks to sit down and think about what I really want. It's one thing. It's one thing earning money, but it's another thing fulfilling myself in life. If I'm 60 or 70 years old, thinking, will I be happy if I go down the WWE route? I thought when I'm older, looking back, as long as I give everything to boxing, I will be a happy man. So that is the primary reason I made a decision to go professional and stick to boxing. And apparently, they had spoken to the team at the Performance Center, and the doors always open for him. And, he passed all these assessments, and they were happy to take him. So you never know in a few years. Never say never, as they say in the business. Um,
Ah.
yeah, so what? How do we feel about this little tidbit here? Like, because we've seen like this whole crossover with other sports and all that stuff with other athletes and everything, and yeah, this
Ooh.
Olympic gold medalist in boxing, he just wants to stick to boxing. So, are you bitter that he chose
Mm.
boxing over pro wrestling, or
Well,
is it just like, all right, well,
mm.
if he comes, he comes?
We got some breaking news here, but I'm gonna answer your question.
Oh, we
first.
did. Oh, so answer the thing about the gold medalist and then the breaking news.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna do first. So
Perfect.
I'm just gonna come out and say, if he's passionate about doing one thing, so be it. Let him do it. It's not like it's. I mean, I'm not trying to like throw anything at him, but it's like it's not like they don't have other people that they can scout and find and everything. So
Right.
yeah, I'm gonna wait to break the news before you see it. I want to get your genuine reaction to it.
Oh yeah.
But I'm happy. I'm happy for him for whatever he does. But yeah, we'll definitely add that for E. So I'm just gonna come out on a limb and say this. I had to double check and make sure that this was legitimate because me and you obviously know there's a lot of people online saying a lot of shit just to stir up a storm on Twitter. But The Rock's gonna be on Smackdown tomorrow. So it says, and he said it on his Twitter, and it says, bold and disruptive, unpredictable and dangerous. The Final Boss returns live on Smackdown tomorrow at 8 Eastern, 7 Central on USA Network at WWE at TK.
I was gonna post something about that video he posted. Something about I didn't get to watch it or something, but he posted something. I think it was on his Instagram or whatever about like he was dropping hints about unfinished business and day one and things like that. And it's like, oh, wait, maybe he actually is gonna be part of WrestleMania. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
so he's gonna be on SmackDown tomorrow.
Yeah, but see, this shit happened last time. Like we did a episode last week where we were talking about releases and everything, and then we got that report about Ray Phoenix with that whole report from Chris Featherstone talking about how there's a conversation in the works where he could potentially be released soon, which I'm hoping is still the case because you got all these other people gone. I don't see why you prolong that. But again, like another thing's happening tonight, probably next week, whenever Vash comes back to Grappling of the Week too. But it's like, this is something that came out of left field because I kid you not, I saw this when you were talking about the thing with Delicious Orie, and I thought, this is probably Wessel votes. This is some kind of report that people are trying to stir up a storm just to cause a lot of shit. But I mean, it's coming from The Rock himself, the blue check mark. I don't think somebody's gonna get a huge fucking following on one Twitter account for that. But yeah, that's pretty crazy. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, no, I mean, because that's the thing. Well, see, okay, everything's
gonna put
so
himself
weird.
in the damn chamber.
Oh my god, I swear if he freaking does, I am going to be. I mean, I'm not going to be livid. I'll be excited for it, Oh my gosh. But oh man. Oh, that's cool because like tomorrow because I saw that there was an announcement for a match tomorrow night with Cody. Who was it? I think it was Cody.
I was on the phone. I wasn't talking to you. I don't want.
Oh no, you're good. No worries. It's like Cody, Braun. I want to say LA Knight, but there's like 3. It's Cody with 2 other people going up against Solo, Tamatonga, and Jacob Fatu. So The Rock showing up there, and like he had a video going up. There was news about him being like part of Scorsese's new film, and everybody's like, "Oh, he's gonna be off filming that bullshit."
Was that Moana thing too, right?
What? Wait, which Moana thing? Was there a Moana thing too?
About those like reshoots or whatever the fuck it was.
Oh yeah, well yeah, that's the thing. There's reshoots for that going on apparently. Like, so everybody's all like, "Oh, well, Rock's busy. He can't do Mania. He's showing up to SmackDown tomorrow." Okay, great. Well, guess what? Dirt sheets. Take that. That's
100. This was like 7 minutes ago, and it already has 111,000 impressions. I mean, I'm not surprised on that, but wow. They hit 7
That's crazy. Well, SmackDown's going to be must watch tomorrow. All 3 hours of it. Like, oh man. Okay, all right. Yeah, just don't fully trust the dirt sheets, folks. That's all I'm gonna say. You know, just like Drew McIntyre said one time, if it didn't come out of my mouth, don't believe it. Oh boy. Oh. Yeah, I am curious what he's gonna do tomorrow night.
Yeah.
I'm really curious what he's gonna do.
I mean, a lot of people are saying he could be announcing a location for WrestleMania 42. I mean, I'll keep my expectations
that's
low
true,
because I don't want to overhype myself. But
true. Yeah, don't want to keep our expectations a little tempered and all that, so yeah. Well, before we start, continuing to think about what could happen, let's talk about what did happen, because moving on to our next news article. So Michael Cole was on imPAULsive this week, and he had a lot to say about a lot of things. Like, for one, he told the story about he told the story about how he apparently yelled at Pat McAfee before WrestleMania because he came to work in shorts and all that, and Michael Cole apparently like berated him in gorilla position, and Pat was so like kind of sad and depressed about it that he almost left. Like, he almost left the company after that, apparently. But there were some other things too about like he kind of went into how it is working nowadays with the new regime and all that, where he basically talked about how now he's able to kind of be more of himself, and like even a quote here being like, the guy who crowd surfs, who gets on tables, who jokes around, that would have never happened under Vince. And apparently that's like the real Michael Cole. So that's really cool to hear, because like you kind of hear it in his commentary and how he talks nowadays, but it's just another thing to just kind of hear it come out from the guy's mouth and everything. I haven't gotten a chance to like sit down and listen to the whole interview, but just the little snippets I did hear, like it's really cool just to hear Michael Cole just talk like a normal human being. Like he was dropping F-bombs too. I'm just like, oh my god, that's Michael Cole? What? You're the voice of the WWE. You're saying fuck? No. Why are you doing that? Hey, yeah, there's just some other stories too that he was telling as well. But did you get to hear any of this?
I will check it out when I'm at work tomorrow, when I have my headphones in, when I'm cutting fruit and stuff. But I did see like those little clips and highlights, but I'll probably get the full scope of it tomorrow. But I was actually kind of surprised for the most part that he was actually on the show. Like, out of all the people that he could have brought on the show, I was not expecting Michael Cole. I thought it was going to be like some other wrestler. I mean, obviously I wasn't thinking CM Punk, especially with what's currently going on television. I don't know how you can really incorporate that into like an interview.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess I could say I'm not really surprised when it came to the like sort of conversation. I know there was like some talk on there too about how the company is now with Vince compared to how it was at Triple H. And obviously Michael Cole has been in the game for a while, so obviously it's like a different landscape, because I still remember how he was back then, and then looking to where he is now, he seems like he's able to be more like himself, because I'm not sure if this is like a legit thing, but I also heard he used to get like barked at. He said certain things or whatever, like over commentary. I'm not sure where the source is from that, but I do remember hearing that around. But I mean, I'm not surprised in that. If there's a part he would have left the company, I wouldn't blame him, honestly. Same thing with Pat walking out. Like, I don't blame them, because I mean, look at the kind of environment it in, and I'm even like looking back at the Chris Van Vliet interview that he had with Michelle McCool that I listened to that ties into this, talking about walking out. Look at the women's division back then. Like, I remember hearing a report on there where they were only able to do a certain amount for like maybe 2 to 3 minutes. I heard Michelle coming out and saying how they hit harder than the men, like the punches looked a lot more stiff than the men, and they didn't like that. So they had to go out there and redo it. So it translated differently from the men, and they weren't really able to showcase himself as much back then. So it's like looking at how everything transpired throughout the years, like the reason why I tie that in, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I wouldn't either. And I won't spoil the whole interview for you, but there are some good little tidbits because I saw some clips going on around as well that I took a listen to. But like one of them entailed the whole idea of the storytelling over the professional wrestling because Michael Cole apparently clapped back at a lot of people who like one of their big complaints with him is like, oh, he didn't call that a Canadian destroyer. Oh, he fraud watch, blah blah blah. And he basically said, hey, fuck off, everybody. Like, I'm calling a match. I'm calling them like hitting somebody. I'm telling a story. So he goes a little bit into that apparently. So yeah, a lot of stuff to look forward to if you haven't watched or listened to that yet. Definitely do check that out when you get the chance. So, continuing to move right along.
I'm so blown away from that shit that's going on.
Oh, with The Rock? Oh man. But so this kind of just made me laugh a little bit. It's mainly because of the name. It's mainly because of the name. So the Rizzler. Now, if you don't know who the Rizzler is, first of all, that means you live off the internet. So good kudos to you. Yeah. But yeah, he's part of TikTok sensation. Cool, neat, awesome. But apparently, the Rizzler was injured at AEW Full Gear. Now, this comes according to Joey Janela, who was talking to Fightful in the Weeds, who stated the Rizzler got injured at AEW from ringing the bell. From ringing the bell, he hurt his hand. He hit the bell too hard. Giancarlo was the Rizzler's handler that day. He had to get him a little wrap and ice pack. He sent me a picture of Rizzler icing his hand. He bashed the ring bell too hard and got injured. His first wrestling injury. That's why he's not showing up too much. He's like, this wrestling life is not for me. So, this kind of sucks. Because again, like we've always said, like many people say, anything can happen in the world of professional wrestling, including injuries at any point at any time.
We were in the middle of the conversation. Yeah. Look where the fuck this happened.
Yeah, exactly. Like anything can literally happen. So, hopefully the Rizzler's hand can get back to normal. But I'm sorry, it kind of gave me a chuckle just thinking of how you hit the bell so hard that you like broke your hand. It just like shattered into pieces. Like, no. But hopefully it wasn't the hand where he, does his little face on and all that. So, Rizzler, get well soon. Any thoughts on the Rizzler's little injury here?
I mean, I hope he's okay because,
I do too.
I realize, he's still a young kid. He obviously doesn't have the same muscle as me, you, or the other performers. But, I mean, I kid you not. When I first saw it, I thought it was like a meme. But hopefully he's okay. Like,
yeah.
Would he hit himself with the bell, or was it just too hard, or?
So apparently when he went to, ring the bell,
after the match,
he hit the bell so hard, like either before or after the match. I don't know. But yeah, he just hit the bell so hard with the hammer, I guess, and it hurt his hand. So yeah, it probably just the material they use for the hammer. I guess he's not used to, hitting a hammer that hard on a bell. So, but yeah, speedy recovery for you, Rizzler, and hopefully again it wasn't the hand that like he does his Riz face with. I don't know how it actually goes.
You got sexy BJ Ray doing that shit now.
Oh no! Oh no! But we're gonna continue on with the AEW news. So AEW, they announced that Double or Nothing is going to be taking place at the Desert Diamond Arena in Glendale, Arizona on May 25th. So the reason that this is kind of big, usually Double or Nothing is in Vegas. but they changed locations this year. That could be partially due to, WWE's kind of in Vegas for Mania this year, so there's probably a lot of people that aren't going to be buying tickets for an event right there. There's also the idea of, AEW kind of scaling down their live shows and all that. So maybe there wasn't a place near Vegas that they could get at that time. So again, this is kind of big because AEW's making some changes and all that. But yeah, what are your thoughts on them changing location for Double or Nothing?
I feel like it's a nice change because they've been there for years. So it almost comes to a point where they got to expand the horizon. They got to do something different because, I mean, you can only go to the same place for so long. Kind of like how it was with All In for those 2 years. I mean, granted, it's not the same as Double or Nothing, but it's like they were in the UK for 2 years. And you want to see, like, how the crowds are in, like, different areas, not always going to the same place. I mean, you have, like, WWE, WrestleMania isn't always in the same place. Backlash isn't always in, like, France or Puerto Rico. It's always in a different, like, at least recently, it's in, like, these different international spots. So I feel like it's a good thing to see how it goes. Because I know this was something that a lot of people wanted personally. Especially for people that can't really go out there and go to where it normally is. Like, they could actually, go to Glendale, Arizona, if they're, like, in the area, or have maybe, like, a 2-hour flight, whatever the case may be, where they're actually able to experience this thing, which I think is pretty good for them.
Oh yeah, so hopefully they do well at Double or Nothing, and yeah, we'll see how everything goes from there. So here's a fun little news article, a little fun little tidbit. So Logan Paul claims that he is banned from entering Egypt, and this source comes from Logan Paul himself, who states, Mr. Beast just uploaded a new video exploring the pyramids or something, and I love the pyramids. So I was like, Jimmy, can I come? And he was like, for sure, dude. Then a week later, he called me and was like, dude, unfortunately, the Egyptian government said that you can't come. Otherwise, we can't come. And I was like, wait, what? I know I pissed people off at the Egyptian government. I've never even been to Egypt. Why can't I come to the pyramid, Jimmy? He said, I don't know. The government specifically said you are the only person that cannot come on this trip. So hopefully WWE doesn't do any shows in Egypt, because they wouldn't be able to bring in Logan Paul. So I don't know. It's just kind of funny just seeing that he's not allowed in Egypt. And he didn't even know about it. Like, apparently he didn't I don't know how he pissed off the Egyptian government. And I really don't want to research on why he did, but I don't know. Do you know why he might have?
I have no idea, to be honest. I mean, I know about the whole Japan thing. Everybody in the whole entire community knows about that shit.
Oh, yeah.
So whenever they have some sort of event over there, he can't go there, but I'm not really sure about the Egypt thing. And to answer your question in there, Kevin, I want to know how many people are going to travel to Royal Rumble 2026. I mean, I know for sure CM Punk isn't, because he's made it pretty clear he's not really the biggest fans of those shows. And he wasn't even at the Crown Jewel this year. So that's one person that's not going to be there. I know it's their culture over there and everything, but I kind of feel bad for, like, the women's Royal Rumble over there. It's not going to be like as loud. I mean, I could be wrong, but it's not going to feel as special as the men's over there, because now they have like, I'm not saying that we're watching wrestling just for this, but now they got to obviously wear those bodysuits and everything like that. So,
I mean, we've heard reports. Yeah. I mean, we've heard stories, too, of them, like, the women, when they go backstage after just a simple match, too, and they're just, like, drenched in sweat. And you can only imagine how they're going to be after a Royal Rumble, especially whoever the Iron Woman of next year's ends up being.
Sami Zayn says the same thing, but look what happens. Never say never. Oh, maybe Oh, that I don't really know what went beyond that. I mean, I know Sami Zayn has been on those shows as of recently. I mean, he's my personal pick for next year, honestly. But
I think part of the Sami Zayn thing was like a religious thing too. But don't fully quote me on that either, because I think he ended up going more because things kind of started slowing down on that aspect of it.
yeah,
So
yeah, I do.
but again, don't fully quote me on that, because that's a whole thing I don't want to get into at all. You know?
I do remember all that.
Yeah. But yeah, speaking of things ending and all that, Goldberg is actually set to retire this coming summer. So
He's also
he had made a comment.
Too. Stem cell.
Oh yeah, he is doing some stem cells to get himself back into shape for it all.
Watkins hyped for that, huh?
But why is this not loading for me?
Must be hyped for
that. Basically, oh my gosh, yes. Give me. Honestly, it depends on who he's gonna face. Like, okay, for Goldberg's final match, who would you want him to face?
There's only like several people I can think of, so I'll come out and say this. So the first thing I was thinking of is possibly Ron Breakker, only because that could be a good way to really establish him as, or actually I can't say establish. It's just a good name to put on under Ron Breakker, kind of like Old Spear versus New Spear sort of thing. I mean, it's just someone that can easily see them giving Ron Breakker just to be like, holy shit, you know, you got this guy retiring Goldberg, stuff like that. Because, you know, people that they've done before when it comes to certain matches, they always like brag about why I retired Goldberg. I did this, I did that. So Ron Breakker's one of them. I mean, obviously, there's something going around. Obviously, we saw before the whole teasing between him and Gunther. That's another option. I don't expect him to win any of these matches. Really wouldn't make sense in the slightest.
Yeah.
So if it's a Goldberg or Gunther, I expect both of them to go over. But it's like, other than that, I don't really know who else it could possibly be, unless something else is slipping my mind. I mean, Roman's already had matches with him. I'm not going to throw him in a category. It's mainly people that I guess need it a little bit more. Not necessarily saying they need to, but it's only like realistic options I could think of. Goldberg final match should be 30-minute Royal Rumble, because let's be honest, Goldberg doesn't have been a single match. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, who knows what the guy wants at this point, to be honest. I mean,
yeah. I mean, as long as the singles match he has is like 5 minutes and not anything longer than that, then it'll be fine. I mean, you know,
here's the thing. It's like with a Gunther or a Braun Breaker, you could easily make that. I'm not saying it needs to be a great match, but those are two powerhouses that could, you know, I mean, look at the chops he could be giving Goldberg, you know, all the power moves that him and Breaker do. Like, I don't expect it to be like a super crazy match where it's like 10, 15, 20 minutes, but at least something to make the other guys look dominant. I mean, it's good that at least he's having some stem cell work, so at least he's taking it seriously.
Yeah. What would be crazy?
I'm not saying I'm hyped for it, though.
I doubt this one would happen, but just feed him to Jacob Fatu. Feed him to Jacob Fatu on a silver platter. Yeah.
I mean, like, that's another one too. I mean, it's just basically like people are common enough with. It's people who usually kick a lot of ass, regardless who they're in the ring with. Like with Breaker, he kicks ass. Gunther, he kicks ass. Jacob Fatu, look at him now. He's kicking ass. Would be pretty cool to see him in the chamber, but I realize they're trying to protect him right now. Don't want him to eat a pin.
Yeah.
Because that's more than likely what would happen. So it's like, I don't know, anyone to really just throw him around with. I don't really know.
Yeah, and I mean, I thought about Cody, because it's like, okay, you could just throw that onto his belt and all that, but Cody could probably do something a little more than Goldberg. But I wouldn't be mad if I saw that. It's just, I would want more, I guess, you know. But yeah, we're talking about one Hall of Famer, so we're going to move on to this Hall of Fame news that we got. So there have been some internal chatter, and this comes from WrestleVotes, their backstage pass and all that. There have been some internal chatter that the WWE Hall of Fame event may not take place immediately following SmackDown this year. With SmackDown now being 3 hours, some within WWE feel that the showcase of the WWE Hall of Fame may be lost on the audience after a 3-hour show. Now, I agree with that.
Yes.
Like, I mean, even with a 2-hour show, because what was it? Last year's went on way too long, I think.
Yeah, I think it was like, I don't even remember. It was like 2 to 3 hours. Or
yeah,
it was
like
really long. I know it hit like almost 1 o'clock last year, at least my time.
Mm-hmm. And they even like started it a little later too, like because they were doing like this whole red carpet thing, and people had to get like quickly get thrown together and all that. I honestly, you know what they could do? I mean, I know there have been also talks about like changing the layout of it too, because a lot of people don't like this whole ring setup for it, and having a crowd there as well is kind of
it was like that before.
Iffy. It wasn't. They actually had like a convention hall for it. It was mainly just like the superstars and like anybody else in the business that were there. They might have had some fans in the back, but yeah, it was never like an arena thing like this.
I'd
but
say do it on a Thursday.
I mean,
do it on a Thursday. Maybe.
Yeah, they could do it on a Thursday. Honestly, I mean, I know SmackDowns are the go home shows for Mania, but I mean, with Raw and Netflix right now, you could basically do that.
Yeah.
And hell, with a 3-hour SmackDown, just do the Hall of Fame there.
Yeah.
You know, like maybe do the Andre the Giant Battle Royal in the first hour, or at least within the first hour, and then just do the Hall of Fame there. You know, but that's also if they're gonna keep this layout and all that. You know,
it kind of does seem weird. It's like you have them put on that show, and then after that they gotta like put on these suits and put on these dresses for the men and the ladies and all of that, and then they gotta go to their assigned seats. They got everything else set up. They gotta wait for everybody to get there. So it's like I gotta understand how it could be a hassle at times the way that it's set up. So I don't really blame them for having that sort of mindset when it comes to it. I want Shawn Michaels to return to Royal Rumble because I don't want to see Shawn final match be remembered as a tag team match. I do know there was another report saying that Shawn feels like he has another match in 2 for him. I'm not sure if that's just to spark the audience, just to get them excited or anything, but I'd rather him just be in the position that he's in now. No disrespect to him, because I can always go back and look at all my favorite Shawn Michaels matches. But I'd rather him just do what he's doing right now.
Yep.
But
no, do what you're doing right now. No more Saudi tag matches, please, Shawn. Please. Like, even though you were the highlight of that match with those 4 guys, just nah, you're good. Leave your legacy intact as it is. But Sonya Deville, she breaks her silence from her WWE release, and she's saying that she can't relate to people who badmouth WWE when they leave the company. Now, fun fact, I actually didn't see this quote. I saw the other one, like it was a video where she had talked about how she found out that they weren't renewing her contract. And basically with that is she was working out, she got a call because apparently they were in the middle of contract negotiations, which, I mean, I guess that kind of explains why she and the rest of PFC weren't really on TV. I'm starting to notice that they don't really showcase too many people that are within contract negotiations during that time. So I guess that's a sign if somebody's not really on TV too much, they're within contract stuff. But I didn't know about this comment though. So her quote here, and this is during her podcast, I guess it is. What is there to be mad about? I see people leave and they say bad things about the company, or they talk crap, or they say whatever they say, and I cannot relate. I genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, cannot relate. I loved every minute of it. I loved everybody there. I loved everything I got to do, everything I did experience. But that was a chapter and it was a decade long. A decade. Travel, wrestle, eat, sleep, repeat. And it was fun. But now I have no choice but to listen to the universe and the universal signs like, hey D, that was good, but here's what's next. It's exciting. I'm excited. I like this positive spin on it because she's like, okay, you know what? Fair play. You know, I did my thing, I did my time, and I had fun with it, but the universe obviously wants me to go somewhere else. They want me to do something else, and you know what? I'm going to take advantage of it. Does it suck? Yeah, it does kind of suck because I lost my job and all that, but I feel like with her name, at least right now, and I mean, you know, put as much stock as you will in Sonya Deville, but I mean, she was still a decent talent to have. So like the fact that she's just taking this in stride is very good to know, and also kind of speaks to the overall just environment of WWE right now, how like just the company is anymore, and just overall how everybody kind of takes news like this going forward.
Yeah, I'm glad that she had a good approach on this, because I know sometimes when some people leave WWE, and I'm not sure if this is like them saying it or they're pressed to say something like this just because they're on a different brand, and you obviously know what I'm referring to.
Mm-hmm.
But it's I'm glad that she has this approach, because you know she had a good time there. She's been there for like many years. You know, she did her thing, and you know, at least she appreciates the time that she had, friends she made, everything along the lines of that. I mean, she has a family, she has a daughter, she has a wife, so she's able to spend more time with them. And she also has this time because, you know, unlike some people, they have like their 90 days, I believe. Her contract, I believe, could possibly be up now, because I remember it said like sometimes towards like the end of February, she was going to be free to do her own thing. So it's like, I'm glad that she has the opportunity to really think, okay, what do I want to do next? Do I want to pursue doing something else? Do I want to go to TNA, AEW, whatever the case may be? So I'm hoping that, like Kevin said in the chat, that he hopes that Sonya Deville can bet on herself, like outside of WWE, and see what she could do, which I'm hoping for the best for her. I mean, I'm just gonna come out and say it. Unfortunately, they weren't really doing much with her, and the whole thing of PVC, it had potential. Creative didn't really put it in the direction that me and you were expecting it to go down, because there was a lot of potential there, especially with, you know, Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler, but creative obviously didn't take in the direction that we wanted it to. So at least this is like a new approach for her to see where she could find out exactly, you know, what she wants to do for herself. That's pretty much my take on it, because I always try to look at the positives anyway when these people leave, because most of the people that they released that we went over last week, it was I understood why they did it, because out of those people that we discussed last week, they weren't doing anything with them. I was surprised with the Alba Fire thing, but like beyond like all of that, you know, stuff with Vinci and the rest of them, they weren't really doing anything with, you know, calling up Blair from NXT. They don't really have anything for her to do on the main roster, and just completely wasting a spot right there. I mean, you know, I just wish the best for Sonya at this point.
Yeah, and I mean that's all you can do, but I'm just glad that she's taking this positively. She's looking at it, looking towards the future and what she could be doing going forward and all that. So yeah, more power to her, and I'm looking forward to see what she does in the future. And you know, if you guys thought it was getting hot in here just talking about, you know, all this news that we've been breaking down, boy, we're gonna be ending on a very sweaty boy tonight. So the Coach and Bro show happened today. This is Jonathan Coachman's show that he does every single week.
JD was on there.
Oh, I was just gonna say JD was on it this week, wasn't he?
Yeah, I know he was a special guest on there. He covered for something.
I'd have to check out that little segment that he did for it. But it was revealed today on the show that Shane McMahon, during that meeting he had with Tony Khan, Shane had asked for equity in the company, so he wanted like a part of the company and all that.
Yeah.
And Shane wanted to come in and run the entire show. And apparently after that, Tony Khan just ghosted Shane. I kind of feel bad for Shane because, like, I get it. You want to be part of the wrestling business and all that. But we saw what happened in the 2022 Royal Rumble when you were running that ship. Yeah, nah, dude. Go and do something else and just don't. Just don't. But man, it's kind of funny to see that Tony Khan ghosted him though. Like, out of all people, like out of all the nice things you hear about Tony Khan, like say what you want about his booking, about how he likes to, just play with his toys and then pull an Andy and be like, I don't want to play with you anymore. Say what you want about that with Tony Khan, but the fact that like there have been a lot of people that have called him nice guy and all that. The fact that he, being a nice guy, ghosted somebody, that kind of spells numbers for you as a person, at least. But and it's also just kind of funny how Shane just wanted to come in, get a piece of AEW, and run everything. I don't know. That's just funny as hell to me.
I mean, I'll say this, it could have helped them. I mean, look at where the company is right now. I mean, not saying that Shane had to like take full control of the company, but at least having somebody by your side helping you give ideas. I mean, look at 2016 Smackdown Live. I mean, the rise of AJ Styles. Right when AJ joined the company, he was champion when he won the title off of Dean Ambrose that year at Backlash. And then you had like the women's division in the right direction, stuff that's going on with Becky, Naomi, Alexa Bliss when she was the goddess, even the stuff that happened with Dolph Ziggler and The Miz, if you remember that program that they had. That was a really good IC title program all those years ago. And that was pretty much like the A show to us all those years ago, because Raw wasn't really hitting as hard as SmackDown when Shane was doing his thing with Daniel Bryan over there. So it's like looking at how things were in that direction, especially when it came to like the exclusive pay-per-views and the sort of things that they built around it. I mean, I wouldn't be against it, because at least it could give him some ideas to help bring AEW back where a lot of people want it to be. Because don't get me wrong, they're doing a lot good recently, especially when it comes to the MJF and Adam Page stuff, which I heard was pretty much like the highlight of yesterday, which is probably the thing that's keeping a lot of people tuning into AEW because of that whole program that's going on with that. But imagine, Shane McMahon there giving Tony Khan a couple ideas to see what they want to do. But it could just be one of those things where it's like, it's Tony Khan's company. Maybe it's a bit of an ego thing. He made the company. He wants to make the decisions, stuff like that. All right to him, because, Vince was still in charge. He would be doing the same thing. God forbid. I mean, I'm happy he's fucking gone, because the company's a lot better than when it was. But you get what I'm trying to say. Tony's company probably wants to do things the way he wants, which is perfectly understandable. You can't really like argue with that. I mean, if me and you were in control of something, yes, we would want those people helping us give ideas, but at the end of the day, we would want to make the final say when it came to certain things and the sort of direction that we wanted to see it go down. But that's pretty interesting, because there was a lot of reports, and we didn't really know exactly like what was going on. We saw pictures of them. We saw Shane with the Bucks. I believe there was a picture of Shane and Mercedes, so we didn't really know what was going on there. The fact that he ghosted him and everything is pretty funny. But that was an interesting thing I saw today, because I wasn't expecting to wake up this morning and see like an article like this at like the afternoon or like early this morning. I don't remember when it came out, so that completely caught me off guard. There's also like a little tidbits I did see like outside of this. Like, I don't know if you saw the original pitch for the 2002 Royal Rumble that Fightful put out today, where Rousey was actually supposed to eliminate everybody off of there.
I saw that before. I saw that before we went on the air. I was just like, "Oh wait, what? No.
It's supposed to be a clean swoop. Like she's been gone. Oh my! All of a sudden she comes back, clean swoop and everything. Yeah. So that was definitely something when it comes to a lot of those discussions that come out. Where it's like, hey, you want to hear what happened behind the scene? Hear what happened at Ronda. Here's what happened with Tony and Shane behind the scenes, because we never knew what happened with that until we saw this.
Yeah, because like we saw, like you said, we saw the picture and all that. There were a lot of people like speculating, like throwing out rumors about how like he was like the ultimate power behind the Death Riders and all that. I saw that. I'd listen to that and be like, okay, you know what? That's a fun meme, but nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
They could have had their fun with it.
They could have, but
yeah,
the Death Riders are doing
pretty much what they're
something. Exactly. Oh man, but hey, that was basically all the news in the greater wrestling media and all that stuff. A lot of stuff to kind of talk about and break down and everything. But now we're gonna enter our next segment, which is known as the Turnbuckle Tidbits. Now, this is the segment where Drop and myself, we're going to go through Dynamite, we're going to go through NXT, and just kind of highlight the pros and cons from both shows and all that, because we don't get to talk about a lot of other different promotions or shows throughout the week. So, again, this is going to be part of the show where we talk about all that stuff, the good, the bad, and the mediocre at best. So I'm going to start us off here tonight with the Dynamite. So Dynamite this week, it wasn't too bad. Like every single Dynamite for the past couple weeks has progressively been getting better. A few things here and there that are still just kind of but I'm just going to break it down with my whole pros and cons list. So, in my pros section from Dynamite, Drop mentioned it earlier, the MJF and Hangman Adam Page stuff is really good. I mean, it kind of starts off with like MJF getting some cheap heel heat and all that, but it eventually evolves into this really personal rivalry where it's like, okay, yeah, Adam Page may have fallen a little bit, like character-wise and all that, but MJF, you've been cheating for like the past 5 years. You can't like do anything without like being sneaky about it. And of course, MJF, retorts being like, okay, but that doesn't matter because at the end of the day, I still won and all that. But like, I think my favorite part about this and how it just kind of ties it all together is how did it go again? MJF basically said that, Hangman Adam Page is a liar and all that stuff. And he's just like, what are you compared to me? And Hangman just leaves off with, I'm real. And you can kind of tell that cut MJF a little bit because he ends off just by saying, okay, well, if you want to be the main character, I have no problem being the villain. It's just like these two are going to have a really great match at Revolution, and part of me is glad there's not a stipulation on it, at least yet, because they could prolong this feud to the next event and all that, where they can have a stipulation. But yeah, MJF just bringing up all the stuff that Hangman Page has done, mainly in the Swerve Strickland feud and all that. But yeah, if you guys catch anything from Dynamite this week, if you could only catch one thing from Dynamite, highly recommend it being the MJF Hangman Adam Page stuff, because it was damn good stuff. And even after the promo that they give off, MJF, like they had this rule where if they touched each other, they would get fined. Okay, cool, neat. How does MJF get around that? He just spits in Adam Page's face and just walks away. And like you have all the security guards like just in the way trying to keep him at bay. And Christopher Daniels comes out, who again, Hangman Page just like he ended his career recently, but it's like he's still being like this like this grounded character for Hangman, just trying to reel him back in, remind him that he is a good person, that he is like this, again, just a good person, all that. So, I don't know, Drop, were you able to catch this segment or even any other segment from AEW, I guess, before I continue on with everything?
So, I did see this stuff. I didn't like watch AEW last night, but I did see like the clips and stuff. Like I saw the stuff with MJF and Hangman, which is good. because, this is the kind of stuff that you need outside of what they were doing before with the whole Jeff Jarrett stuff. So I'm glad that they pivoted and they actually focus on this, because these are two guys that have a lot of history. Like we talked about last week, the 2019 AEW, these two used to butt heads all the time. So it's nice that we're getting a program with them. It's nice to see Hangman Page and MJF in a position where they need to be. And I'm just going to come out here and say this. I mean, I know they were talking about possibly giving Darby the world title. This is your way of making up to Adam Page for giving him the title and having him win off of Moxley. Like, I'd personally have Page go over in this match against MJF, and then he can work his way up to Moxley and take off the title instead of trying to prolong that to whenever Darby gets back, because I know that was like the original rumor that they wanted to do. But this is the kind of stuff that you need when it comes to the promos, when it comes to what these two guys can create for one another, because that's the sort of stuff that was really missing with all of this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, we were missing this kind of viciousness, I guess, within AEW. I mean, you kind of get it with the whole Adam Copeland versus Death Riders thing, which, I'll probably transition to that here in just a second. But it's like, it's nothing compared to this, because like these are two guys that have been in the company for since its inception and all that. So yeah, there's a lot of history to play on this, just mainly from just AEW history in general. But yeah, I just mentioned Adam Copeland and I almost called him Dean Ambrose there. Holy crap. John Moxley.
I have a few comments.
I think it's because I saw
a little bit.
Do what?
I have a few comments to say about that in a little bit.
Oh, trust me, I'll let you get off on that one. I put this in the pros section because I don't know. I liked it enough, and I didn't feel like it was a meh kind of thing, because like a lot of things in the con section, except for maybe one thing, was really bad. But like this one, I felt like was more on the positive end of like a meh, because it's like, we're prolonging the thing going on between Adam Copeland and John Moxley going into Revolution, and it's really just like kind of setting up what Copeland's going to be doing the next few weeks, where he vows that he's going to take out every single member of the Death Riders on his way to Revolution. That way it's a true one-on-one. Now, if that ends up being a true one-on-one by Revolution, I'll be surprised, because sometimes when they do these angles, these groups are still fine come the pay-per-view and all that. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of set up just because Moxley comes out, and he kind of, and a lot of people have been comparing it to like a certain Roman Reigns promo, which, yes, where he's just like, oh yeah, this ring, it's mine. That referee is mine. That cameraman is mine. The whole seats in here are mine. You people sitting in here are mine. Like, just saying because he's the world champion, everything is his. And yeah, again, that summoned Copeland, that summoned Switchblade, Jay White to come out, and that was your segment. So go off. What do you have to say about this?
I know a lot of people noticed online he was starting to sound like Roman Reigns last night. Did you see that?
Oh yeah.
In his promo, saying, "This is my ring. This is my microphone. This is my audience." A lot of people were saying he was trying to sound like Tribal Chief Roman Reigns when he was cutting that promo.
Yeah,
that was something funny I noticed about that.
Yeah, and that's partially why this is kind of an kind of thing, because it's like, okay, well, your actions before this weren't really matching up to those words, because it's like, oh, I'm going to destroy AEW. Okay, well, is it this current AEW? And then it's just like, oh, this is mine, this is mine, this is mine. It's like, wait, so you want to destroy your own stuff just to build it back up? Okay, cool, neat. All right, fine. Go. You do you, John Moxley. Cool, neat, awesome. All right, so to some other pros, the Ops. So this is a new group that Samoa Joe, Hook, and Shibata formed. They ended up defeating the Patriarchy of Christian Cage, Kip Sabian, and Nick Wayne. And the whole story with this match is the fact that Christian wants nothing to do with Samoa Joe, which I don't blame him. I wouldn't want to mess with Samoa Joe either. I wouldn't want to piss him off. I wouldn't want to be in a match with Samoa Joe. But this match was fun. It was really good. A lot of just like suplexing action from like Hook and Shibata, and commentary the whole time are putting over why they're a group and just what they're about as a group. They basically just want to fight everybody. And they're like, okay, well, we tolerate each other. You know, we can actually build each other up, especially with Hook and Joe. I mean, Joe's actually somebody that you can believe will build somebody up, you know. But yeah, I mean, they had a great 6-way match with the patriarchy and all that. And yeah, I mean, they're just going to prolong that feud until we actually get the singles match of Joe versus Christian Cage, which hopefully will be great, at least for me, is if it's for that little contract that Christian has, and Joe just takes it from him, and then he just goes over to Jon Moxley, chokes him out, and then he's AEW champion again. And I'm just like, Joe is AEW champion again. That feels good. That feels great. But did you get to catch any of this part?
Yes. I will say this though. I don't think Ed should win this because it would kind of contradict the whole story they're trying to tell about like how a lot of these other people keep coming in trying to run things. Like this is more of a thing for like a lot of these newer guys or at least homegrown talent to really do something when it comes to whoever wins the title off of Moxley. But I'm just really waiting to see exactly like when this is going to end, really. Because it's kind of like the least important thing really on the show, like whenever you're tuning into it. It's like I said, it's MJF and Hangman Adam Page that's like really the most interesting part that's coming out of Dynamite. Like when people are talking about Dynamite last night, they were talking about MJF and Hangman Adam Page. Not much about this other stuff.
No. Well, there was one other thing people were talking about, and we'll get to that when we get into the con section here in just a minute. So Timeless Toni Storm comes out. She basically lays down the challenge, says she's basically done with Mariah May. You're not done. So when she comes back, she'll come right after you. She does have a fun line where it's like, oh, how'd it go? She's just like, you put me through hell, and I beat you with a small package. You know, sometimes they say the best things come in small packages. But honey, I railed you with the biggest package of all. Like, it was a line like that. I'm like, you know what, Tony, that got a chuckle out of me, because I mean, I've said it before. I haven't been the biggest fan of the Timeless gimmick. I think that, and that's just a personal thing, really. But I do recognize good things when I see it, and I thought this short promo was good. It did what it did. It was just like, hey, I'm moving on from this thing. I'm ready for any other challenge that's heading my way. So, yeah, it's just good to see the AEW Women's World Champion on your flagship show like Dynamite and not Collision. Oh, man. And then my last little pro here is that Powerhouse Hobbs defeated Big Bill in a street fight. Now, the fight was really intense, really hard hitting, as you would expect from these two big hosses just going after each other. So I enjoyed it for exactly what it was. And of course, Powerhouse Hobbs getting a big win. Yes, please. Like, keep pushing him, keep, moving his momentum forward. Interesting that it ended in a 10 count, though. I wasn't expecting that. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if that was an added rule or something, but I just remember, like, I had the match on, and it was after Powerhouse Hobbs, like, put Big Bill through the table, like the barbed wire table. And then I just hear Aubrey Edwards counting down, and I'm like, wait, why is she counting down? This isn't Last Man Standing. It's a street fight. And then, Powerhouse Hobbs won with that because Big Bill just couldn't get out of the barbed wire table. So I'm like, okay, well, cool, I guess. Didn't know that was a rule in the match, but hey, you won, Powerhouse Hobbs. Good. Let's move on from the learning tree and all that. Did you get to catch some of this match?
Oh, I did see the promo with
Yeah.
Jericho though.
Oh yeah, with
There's
how he's gonna face Bandito.
Yeah, and he's acting a little more serious on the mic, something we don't normally see all the time.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've seen serious Jericho.
Yeah.
Which I did appreciate that. You know, I didn't want to put too many of like those backstage promos on here because a lot of them are just kind of setting up for like Collision, for example, or in the case of Mercedes Money, her next victim. You know, because that's the thing. Like they did the Mercedes thing, and it's like, okay, well, here's your next challenger.
Momo.
Oh yeah, and I'm like, okay. Immediately in my head, I'm like, all right. If she chooses anything but the TBS title, she'll probably win. You know, because hey, it's a title outside of your main hub company. I'll say. But no, she chooses the TBS title. I'm like, all right, well, Mercedes is gonna win that at Revolution. So there's that 15-0 then. Have at that, Mercedes Money fans. But enough of the positivity of it all. Let's talk about some of these cons, some of these negatives here, and a lot of these they either range from meh to what the fuck are we doing? So I'm gonna start with the meh. I'm going to start with the meh stuff. So, Ricochet refuses to give back Prince Nana's robe. This was okay, because I get what they're trying to do with the whole, like, oh, this robe means a lot to me and all that. Like, this was part of history and all that, and you just stole it because you think it's a trophy and all that. No, I want it back. But, no, can't have it back, because Ricochet's being... He's a bit of a heel right now. Ricochet's promo, it was better. I'll say that. It was better. I don't know if he's doing it on purpose. It's just his voice, I guess, is just really cringy to me with it.
Yeah.
Especially the stuff, like,
oh my God,
that could just be on purpose, but at the same time, it's like, okay, some of these line deliveries were a little not there. But again, I personally thought it was a little better than some of his other stuff. But did you get to see some of this?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's good that they're getting another match because what do they have, like 1-1 on each other?
I believe so. No, they've only had the one match, I think.
Oh, okay. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, at least he's doing something for his character, like outside of like what he was doing originally when he came in, because originally really wasn't doing much when he came in. So
yeah,
it's good that he found some footing doing something.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Like, as long as you're doing something and trying to build something, I can respect that. It's just a little meh for me right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. This next thing though, like, so Orange Cassidy defeats Roderick Strong to face Takeshita next week. Now keep that in mind. Next week to face Takeshita for his international title. However, apparently the winner is going to be facing Kenny Omega at Revolution. So the match itself was fine. The match between Cassidy and Strong, that was fine. It was fun at some points and kind of played upon their history, blah blah blah, whatever. And again, Cassidy won, so we're getting Cassidy versus Takeshita next week. The confusing part about this, okay, is the fact that, so this is a match to basically determine the number one contender to face the champion, who has to then face the number one contender.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here thinking, what is this ass backwards booking that we're doing? Like, shouldn't it be the other way around? Like, oh, maybe it's like a short little tournament thing where it's like, okay, Kenny Omega gets a bye. You get Orange Cassidy versus Roderick Strong because, hey, they're former international champions. All right, it's fine. We'll have them face each other next week. One of them faces Omega, and then boom, Omega gets a shot at Takeshita. Because like, even though we know the end goal is Takeshita versus Omega, it at least throws a little bit of doubt in there. Like, okay, well, maybe we don't get Omega versus Takeshita, you know, maybe somehow Orange Cassidy, like, again, like, I'm not saying Orange Cassidy's gonna freaking beat Kenny Omega, but it's just like, you still might have the thought, because crazier things have happened in the world of pro wrestling. But it's the fact that, like, you're having a number one contenders match to face the champion, to then face the number one contender. It's like, I don't understand that booking. I don't know. Can you maybe help me process this? Because like, it's not computing at all.
No, it doesn't
in my
really.
head.
It doesn't really make any sense. It's counterproductive.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
Like,
it's very counterproductive. It's like there's something. It's like clear as day what you can do. They just decide to just have it be a little extra for whatever reason.
No, it's just to be convoluted for convoluted's sake. I don't get it. But again, the match slapped, and next week, Orange Cassidy versus Takeshita. That's gonna be a fun match. You know, it's just the booking decision. Like, why, like, how we got here and where we're going beyond this. It's just like, why are we doing this? And like, speaking of many whys, Megan Bayne defeated Chris Statlander in a match. So you're thinking to yourself, on paper, that this match should slap. You know, we got earlier in the night, we got a Haas fight, which was pretty fun, and now we're getting a female version of a Haas fight. Now it's still a regular match, obviously, and we got like those big power moves from both of them.
Yeah.
But there's a couple things with this. One, I was hoping that this went on just a little bit longer, just to kind of hopefully showcase both women a little bit more too. And I don't know, like, I expected just a little bit more from the match itself.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that she's apparently, like, Megan Bayne's been contracted for a while. She just hasn't really been doing anything over there. She's mainly been a part of House of Glory, because I know she's currently the House of Glory Women's Champion over there. Which I'm wondering if that's one of the plans potentially. Once Mercedes goes over there, she gets a title shot at that, and then she gets a 6 belt. I know Watkins would be super happy about that.
But it's more money.
Which at this point, I don't know how she's gonna be carrying all of them. Like, there's so many places you could put it.
Yeah.
But it's like, I mean, she's definitely very talented. Like, that's one thing I love about Megan Bayne, is that, like, she's a talent that they could really make money off of as long as they book her right.
Mm-hmm.
But I say that because I don't have much faith in Tony Khan as much as I want to, only because you know, obviously when it comes to the women's division, there's only certain people that's really thriving, like Toni Storm, for example. I mean, she's definitely doing a lot compared to how it was to her in WWE, so I'm glad that things benefited her in the long run.
Yeah.
But I think the main talking point out of this was like that whole spot with her and Thunder Rosa with the chair.
Yeah.
I know Kevin mentioned it. Yeah, he even mentioned in the chat. He's like, don't be surprised if Megan Bayne and Rosa have real beef. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, because, you know, that's also something
either.
You got to take into account too. Like, there's always like some backstage drama going on there, or, you know, whatever the case may be. Like, there's always something going on behind the scenes, so you never really know what's going on.
I gotta paint the picture, because it's just so baffling. It's so bizarre when you look and talk about this. So after the match, you know, Megan Bayne wins, cool, neat, awesome. Penelope Ford comes out. She starts beating up Chris Statlander, which, hey, they had a match last week. It looks like she's aligning herself with Megan Bayne. Cool, neat. That gives them both something to do. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thunder Rosa comes out for the save. She has a chair. She gets into the ring, and you would think, oh, well, the heels are just gonna, scurry on away, move away, go away. No, they're still in the ring. So then your mind's just like, okay, they're still in the ring. They're not running away. Great. Thunder Rosa's gonna hit them with the chair and get that kind of heat. She doesn't. She just kind of threatens them. And at one point, it looks like she's gonna hit them with the chair. But oh my gosh, how do I even do this? It's like, okay, it's like if she took it and she's like, all right, I'm gonna hit you. I'm gonna hit you. I'm gonna do it. I'm really gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. No, I'm not gonna do it. And then like Penelope tries to take the chair. Like, it was just such an awkward moment. I'm like, what are we doing? Like, first of all, why are y'all not backing down with somebody with a steel chair? Second of all, Thunder Rosa, you have a freaking steel chair. That's the equalizer here. You could take them both out. Just hit them. Like, why aren't you hitting them? Why aren't you doing anything? Like, this was so awkward. And yeah, again, Kevin, I would not be surprised if they both have beef. Like, we've heard reports of Thunder Rosa not really playing nice with people. So yeah, like, I don't know what they were doing there. And Thunder Rosa of all people, like, correct me if I'm wrong, has there been any like mention of that, or like her with Chris Statlander helping her out? Like, did I miss something? I might have missed something, unless they put it on Collision, which, again, who's watching Collision? Like, I don't know. That was a little mean, that last statement, but it's just like, what are we doing here with that? Man. But, I mean, other than that, like, again, Dynamite was fine. It was better. Like, I feel like each Dynamite does get better, or like at least certain points do get better. But there are the other points where I'm just like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? Man. But I'm going to leave it up now to Drop to talk to us about NXT. Now, I'm just going to be upfront. I didn't really watch a lot of NXT, but I did hear a few things about NXT this week.
Yeah, so I had to watch it when I came home because I had a late shift at work and I got home around like 9:30. So I had to watch the show on DVR, so really wasn't able to catch things right away. But basically, one of the main reasons why a lot of people were tuning in is because, Ricky Starks was going to be doing his contract signing on NXT. He showed up last week. That was the main point of a lot of people really coming in to see what was going on, and obviously how things were going to happen post Vengeance Day. But pretty much you had like the whole show start off where, let's be honest, NXT is cooking compared to WWE main roster ice cold. I mean, definitely when it comes to the men's division, I feel like hopefully they're treading in the right direction. But you had Obafemi come out. He was calling out like what happened at Vengeance Day when he got attacked by that new group, which a lot of people are kind of getting what was it? What was that group called? Like Revolution, whatever the hell it's called.
Retribution.
Retribution. A lot of people are getting vibes off of that, which I don't blame them, because when it comes to these sort of fractions they do, it's kind of like on and off, so you really know if it's going to work or not. Hopefully it does in the long run. But he pretty much came out there to address their attacks, and then the lights went out, and then Moose came out, and Moose came out to confront him, which I assume they only did because they're really trying to build into that NXT and TNA partnership. And a lot of people were expecting a program to bloom between Obafemi and Moose down the line, which it seems like that's going to be in the works. I'm not entirely sure when that match is going to take place. Possibly, I'm guessing, because they're supposed to be having Roadblock soon, so I would assume that match happens at Roadblock or possibly at like a TNA pay-per-view. I don't think that either title's going to be on the line, might just be a match for bragging rights. So that's pretty much how they opened up the show with Moose, which again, that was probably just them building into like the whole partnership with them, which obviously, that's a thing that they're really pushing right now. And then we see how Eddie Thorpe is trying to look for another NXT title opportunity, which I'm really hoping they don't go down that direction, because he's already had a shot at Oba. He was put into that triple threat with Obafemi and Trick Williams the day that Obafemi won at New Year's Evil. So I really hope they don't do that again, because they're not going to really have Obafemi drop the title anytime soon. And when you have these matches, not saying that like things being predictable is a bad thing, but it's like you could only do the same match like so often when it comes to the same people, when you know how it's going to go down. But it feels like what they're really going to do with that, they're going to start diving deeper into the whole Trick Williams and Eddie Thorpe rivalry that's going on, because they had a strap match on Saturday at Vengeance Day, and surprisingly Eddie Thorpe went over, caught a lot of people off guard.
Yeah.
And Trick Williams seems like he's into this character change. Like, I'm not sure if you saw like the vignette of him or you saw the picture of him where he has like his dreads, he has a little bandana on. Trick's actually he seems like he's getting a little more edgy. Like he's pretty much like more upfront than he usually is about a lot of things. So I don't know if it's just like a more serious Trick, or it's a possibly a tease for a heel turn down the line. I'm not entirely sure what they're gonna do with that when it comes to either the face or heel thing. But for me, I'm gonna take it's like a more edgy, more upfront than he usually is Trick Williams that we're going to be getting, which is perfectly fine, because this is pretty much just them playing off of him losing the title and the sort of arc that he's going down right now. But this all happened after Eddie had a match at Mr. Chase, which obviously Eddie won that match because Mr. Chase is currently going through this whole arc of Chase U being disbanded and what he's going to be doing of himself and everything. So that's pretty much where that stems off of. And then we had our first match open up the show when it came to Kalani Jordan, Jada Parker, and Carmen for a shot at Stephanie Becker, which is our new North American champion, where she was crowned at Vengeance Day. And it's pretty much whoever wins this match gets a shot at her. And we ended up having Carmen win this match, because the way that it was going, it seemed like Jada Parker had in her favor where she was going to win in the end, because she hit her finisher. She was about to roll up Kalani Jordan, but because Ashante Adonis was pretty much like they're a thing right now at NXT, kind of like a boyfriend and girlfriend sort of thing when it comes to that storyline. So he was pretty much there supporting her. So right after she hit the finish and Jada was going to like one of like the corner ropes, just like looking in the opposite direction, it's pretty much one of those typical things you see where like, oh god, oh my god, somebody like hits their finisher, and then you got the guy running in there to steal the finish. That's essentially what happened there. And then Carmen gets a shot at her next week, which obviously, I expect Stephanie to go over. I could possibly even see Jada getting involved, because she's probably pissed at what happened, because all the girls were fighting afterwards. But that's pretty much the whole story with that. And obviously, another thing to throw in here as well is that Jordan Grace is a new member on here, which I know we talked about before, that she's going to be heading to NXT. Which I know a lot of people like 50-50 with, because people are like, oh, she could have gone on the main roster, she could have done something there. I'm okay with it though, because I don't think it's the best decision to really bring her on the main roster if you don't really have any solid plans for her, especially around WrestleMania season. Because if she is on the main roster, you don't necessarily really want to leave her off of WrestleMania plans. So it seems like if she is in NXT doing maybe she's there for like a cup of coffee or whatever, she could possibly just have a match with Julia or Stephanie at Stand and Deliver, and she could possibly be one of those call ups post WrestleMania season when it comes to a Raw or SmackDown, wherever brand she really wants to go on. But yeah, she's here. She made her appearance. And then we saw a match between Sol Ruca and Zarya versus Metaphor. Sol Ruca and Zarya went over in this match, and Sol Ruca and Zarya has been a pairing that they've been building up for quite some time now. They've been I don't know if this is going to be the end game where you could possibly see Zarya turning on Sol in the long run. Like, it doesn't seem like there's like any excuse me. Doesn't really seem like there's any signs of like Zarya really turning heel on Sol.
Yeah.
But it's definitely something I could see done in the future because Zarya just has that look to her where she could potentially go down that direction to like give a different side of her character, possibly do a program between her and Soruka. I mean, this could possibly even be a match at Stand and Deliver. I don't, or if they want to do something like that down the line, because it is around WrestleMania season, you never really know. Because sometimes we have programs with certain people, and if so and so loses that match, sometimes they get the call up around that post Mania season. So maybe they want to do that with Soul. Well, like I said, nothing's set in stone, but we have that go on. And then we also have the Ricky Starks signing, which a lot of people were anticipating to see this. And I know this was going to be one of our main talking points on the show originally before we decided on what our actual main event of the show is going to be. But pretty much we had him come out. He didn't come out to any music or anything. A lot of people thought the NXT theme was his music. A lot of people were like, oh my God, what the fuck is this? Why is he coming out to this? And I'm like, you know, this has been a theme song ever since October for NXT. I don't know why people are like saying, oh, is this his theme song or not? I mean, it's kind of like someone comes out to like the SmackDown theme song of Megan Thee Stallion. Like, let's say hypothetically, Jordan Grace comes out to like the Megan Thee Stallion SmackDown theme song. She debuts. People could be like, oh my God, is that her theme song? Like, no. Obviously, like, what I think went on when Ricky showed up last week is that, you know, he got released on Monday. He appeared the following day. So they had to like take a week to at least figure out exactly what they were going to do. They weren't expecting him to come over. They weren't expecting the release to happen so soon. So they didn't have any entrance music or anything prepared for him. So you had him come out this week. And I personally feel like this is a good thing for the men's division in the future because that's something they've been struggling with. That's been a main talking point when it comes to how the men's division is in NXT. I feel like Ricky could definitely help. I could see Ricky easily being like, I could definitely see him being like an NXT champion down the line whenever they decide what they're going to do with Oba. Because there's only two people I really see taking off that title in Oba. It's either Javon Evans or Ricky Starks potentially down the line. It all depends what they really want to do. But but the whole thing was, okay, what's Ricky's name? Is he Ricky Starks or is he something else? And he's actually known as Ricky Saints. And a lot of people were like split on this when it came to the name. Me personally, I don't really have any issues with this only because it's something I feel like he wanted to do. Maybe because he ended up explaining his name on Busted Open Radio when he was talking with Bubba post NXT, where he wanted to tie something like close to home because he's from New Orleans. So he wanted to name himself like Ricky Saints, so like just to get a little spin off of that, which I'm completely okay with. Like if it's something that's meaningful to him, that he took some time to consider what he wanted to do with that, that's completely okay because at the end of the day, you know, this is his career. So if he wants to have a name like this is fine. I mean, me and you aren't going to really talk about him on our shows if we do a SmackDown or Raw in the future and constantly call him, you know, Ricky every single time you mention his name. Like when we talk about Cody, we don't say Cody Rhodes, Cody Rhodes, Cody Rhodes, or Roman Reigns, Roman Reigns, Roman Reigns, or Carmelo Hayes. We usually say their first name for the most part. So I don't think it's that big of a deal. What I'm happy for is that he's on television. He's able to do what he wants to do because he's been on the shelf for like over a year, not really being able to do anything when he lost that belt with Big Bill. So it's like, at least he's on television again. That's all I really cared about. We had some programs teased of him and Wesley, which is really nice. And also him and Ethan Page. And his first match in NXT is going to be him and Javon Evans teaming up against Ethan Page and Wesley next week, which should be pretty good. And we don't know necessarily. And I feel like that's probably a good start for him. He's working with some team players on that division, so I'm just hoping for the best for him in the long run when it comes to that. And then when it comes to the third match we had was Shawn Spears against the family, and Shawn Spears ended up winning the match. This is just tying more into the story with the North American title with the men's division. And then I already talked about the whole Eddie Thornton match. And then we had our main event, which this was actually teased, where there was like an angle that happened earlier in the night where Fatal Influence attacked people outside of the match. I forgot who it was on top of my head, but it was pretty much an angle that played out earlier in the night. It could have actually been during that. Actually, it was during that North American triple threat match, like post match. And you had Julia, Stephanie, and Jordan Grace come out there to try to prevent it. A little pull apart brawl happened. It was kind of funny because it was happening when there was like what was it, like a picture? So it's like you see them coming out and everything. So I was like, okay, this is funny. Seeing them come out, having a little pull apart brawl during a picture, not even hearing what's going on throughout the entire thing. But yeah, we had Julia, Stephanie Becker, Jordan Grace against Fatal Influence. They won the match, rightfully so. I didn't really expect them to lose. And this is pretty much just building, the foundations of like the women's roster when it comes to like, the top 3 dogs on here when it comes to Julia as an NXT Women's Champion, Stephanie Becker as the North American Women's Champion, and then we also have Jordan Grace, which is probably going to be the 3 centerpieces of that division. I feel like Roxanne's done. Cora's in TNA. I mean, she has a match scheduled with Slamovich at their next TNA event for her Knockouts title. So it's like she's doing her own thing in NXT. I mean, in TNA. So it's like, having these 3 girls right here working together, it's a pretty good move. I know they're teasing something with like Julia, Stephanie, and Jordan Grace. I'm not entirely sure what it's going to be. Like, I don't know if it's going to be one of those things that we have at Stand and Deliver, where it's like Jordan and Julia, or Stephanie and Jordan, or possibly a triple threat, or it's like a winner takes all match. I'm not entirely sure what they're doing with that. It was up to me. I would do possibly her and Jordan Grace, if that's the move. I'm not entirely sure. But like overall, it was a pretty good episode. It did what it needed to do when it came to certain storylines that it needed to address, and obviously I'm looking forward to seeing Ricky in action next week. Curious to see what his theme song's going to be. I hope it keeps like, I'm not expecting it to be the same as Mikey Ruckus when it comes to his theme song and AEW, but hopefully he still has like the Revolutionist televised absolute Ricky Saints whole thing that he had before going with him. Hopefully it has like that same feel to it, kind of like how it was with Jade Cargill's music when she came over, because Jade's music compared to AEW one, and it's like obviously it sounds different, but it also sounds slightly similar in a way if you heard like both of them side by side before. So that's what I'm hoping with that. But yeah, that's my overall thoughts on that.
Okay. Yeah, and like I said, I only saw like a little things here and there. I'm excited for Ricky Starks versus Wes Lee. I think that's going to be a good first like program for Ricky. Oh, excuse me, Ricky Saints now. And that's the other thing. Like the whole name change thing. We've seen worse name changes before. People hated Walter to Gunther. People will. I mean, we still sometimes question too the whole Io Shirai versus Io Sky thing that happened, but it's like I also kind of look at it too with some of these name changes, mainly in the positive sense, because like I can't name any off the top of my head right now, but I do remember like there were some name changes from NXT to the main roster. It's just like, why are we changing your name? That makes no sense. I could see it as like him wanting just using this as like a fresh start kind of thing, being like, okay, it's kind of like that Gunther mindset again, where it's like, I did my time as Walter, but Gunther is going to be a whole different beast, and we were proving that Gunther is a whole different beast from Walter and all that. So yeah, we'll have to see how everything plays out with there, but all right, cool. Well, thank you. Sounds like NXT was pretty dang good this week, so maybe I'll check out more from the highlights and all that. I just didn't have time before this, which is what happens sometimes. That's why we go through these turnbuckle tidbits like we do and all that. So, well, with that, we're gonna go ahead and hit our hot topic. I know everybody's been waiting, chomping at the bit for us to talk about this. we're going to talk about something now. Our hot topic. This is normally a bigger discussion piece for our weekly episodes where we dive just a little deeper into a news piece or maybe a PLE or pay-per-view that's coming up, or any shows that might have come up outside of WWE. Either way, it's going to be a topical discussion on an overall direction with a company, stars, whatever have you. Now, we were kind of mixed on this. We were almost going to talk about name changes and all that in companies, but we'll put a pin on that because something earlier happened today where we got this report from Fightful. It was during one of their what was their show, The Hump. So it was during their show known as The Hump, where Sean Ross Sapp discussed a question that somebody had on their Discord and all that. And he went on to say the following, and I quote, again, from Sean Ross Sapp, Fightful Select and all that. Somebody asked about women's booking, and I said yes. I have spoken with plenty of women in WWE who are frustrated about the booking of the women. This is not a new thing. It's nowhere near Royal Rumble 2022 level, but there has been a situation where a women's WWE performer has reached out to me and said, dude, can you find out if I'm listed internally as a heel or babyface? And I'm like, damn, okay. I know there have been some Mania pitches that have been rejected because people are like, token tag matches aren't something that they want to do. They want things put on a more even plane in the women's division. The contracts are going up, viewership is adjusted accordingly for when women are on screen. It's not the sideshow or anything like that. It's a part of the show. You're adding more titles, add more matches, all that stuff. There's a lot of people that have been parked. For example, I'm not going to say Natalya is frustrated. They signed Natalya. They wanted to keep Natalya. They had creative plans for Natalya. And then, what's Natalya done since then? Hasn't done anything. Hasn't been on NXT. Hasn't been doing anything. Now, this is a topic that seems to crop up every so often, whether it's a few years, few months, few days, whatever have you. This always kind of pops up when it comes to the women's division in any company. I mean, we were just talking about AEW, for example, who have maybe one women's match and one short women's segment on many of their shows. And that's kind of a problem. But with WWE, there's a bit more to this, because again, they added some new titles. They added those mid-card titles. They have tag team titles. They have their world championships and all that. And I mean, this has led to a lot of debate within the communities and, different communities about this. And like, okay, well, who do we use and who do we not use? Now, if you've, listened to Weebs of the Ring, you've listened to our weekly show discussions, there was one recent episode where we talked about Lyra versus Bayley for a spot in the Elimination Chamber. And the whole argument there is the fact that, you put your IC champion in this qualifying match to possibly get a world title match. And at least for me, I don't know if it's like this for you, Drop. It's not the fact that, part of it is the fact that she was put into this. Because, you have other women on your roster that you could have put into this. And, you could think, we're trying to put some doubt into this match. We're trying to, make a good match for the live crowd and for the video audience and all that stuff. And it's like, I get that. I understand that. But there are other talents you can utilize that you could get that outcome from. And especially with the whole idea of, not only building new stars, building the future, but even rebuilding some people that kind of need it. So, I mean, I guess with this, I guess what are your thoughts about how the women have been booked? I mean, I guess for this main thing, we'll just stick with WWE, because if we get into AEW with this, we'll be here till 6 in the morning and all that. But I guess we'll start with there. How have you felt about the women's booking in WWE? Probably in we'll just stick with the past year, I guess.
Actually, let me just pull up the roster. Really.
Oh yeah, I also had to pull up the roster too, and there's also another talking point to go into that as well. So, like, because that's
So
the thing. Yeah, go ahead.
okay. So when it comes to Rhea Ripley, just to start off with her, I don't really have any issues with what's currently going on with her. I feel like they made the right decision. on the Netflix episode, or like the premiere of her getting the belt from Liv Morgan. So I have no issues with that at all whatsoever. Says his name and he appears. I don't believe in Tony Khan. I don't believe. Oh, okay.
Don't tell me we have breaking news again.
Oh no. Johnny's just memeing in the chat.
Oh, okay.
But like with Rhea Ripley, I don't really have as much issues with that. Tiffany Stratton, not so much. I'm kind of hoping this thing with Charlotte helps put her in the spotlight a little bit more post Mania. Like I'm kind of hoping this is just a program that helps bring Tiffany to the next level when it comes to her overall presentation. Like I'm kind of hoping that she benefits off of this. My main issue really honestly stems from like the mid-card titles for the ladies. Not so much with Chelsea, because like with Chelsea, like she's had it for a bit, but I'm just hoping there's more like challenges for her outside of like a Michin and a BFAB. So hopefully they could work that out. I was even talking to people today. They were saying they can possibly build a storyline between her and Piper Niven, and Piper Niven could easily turn heel on her. You could get like a babyface run on a Chelsea Green. That could work.
Which I feel like is the end goal with them, but yeah.
And then when it comes to Lyra, I was a little surprised what happened on Monday. I thought it was going to be an Ivy Nile program between the both of them, because that's what they were teasing, but it doesn't seem like, well, it could possibly go down that direction, because for all we know, Ivy Nile could disrupt that match between Lyra and Dakota Kai next week, so we could possibly get an interference there. It turns into a triple threat or whatever the case may be. But I'm just trying to think at WrestleMania season, like outside of like Tiffany, we know she has Charlotte. Rhea, it's rumored where it could be her and Bianca, or possibly her, Bianca, and Io. If Io possibly gets like a shot at WrestleMania, if let's say shenanigans play out during their match, post Chamber. But with Lyra, like I really don't know what's going on with her. Like outside of the whole Ivy Nile and Dakota Kai situation, like what's gonna go on there? Because we don't know Becky Lynch's status. Me and you originally thought, oh, is Becky Lynch gonna come back? Are they gonna, bring back that whole storyline between her and Becky from NXT that they did at Halloween Havoc a couple years ago? That was another thing I was trying to think of. Like I really don't know what's going on with the mid-card titles. Like I think that's I just don't know what's going on for Mania season with that. I'm starting to think maybe things are gonna get in motion tomorrow with The Rock coming back, now that we brought that up, because we even said before, with him coming back, it's not just one match changing. There's like multiple things that could possibly change within that match. Like you never know. We could possibly get, I'm not saying this is gonna happen, I'm just saying they could possibly get a Rock and Roman. If Rock wants it, he's gonna get it. It's The Rock. He gets what he wants. Or he can get Rock and Cody again, regardless what we saw. He could possibly still do that. And then Cena gets shifted around somewhere else. And then Punk gets shifted around somewhere else. And then Seth gets shifted around somewhere else. And Drew gets shifted around somewhere else. You never know. Because WrestleMania season's unpredictable. And when you factor in The Rock now, like other things could possibly come into motion as well. Not necessarily saying that's like gonna tie in with the girls, but you never know like what's gonna happen moving forward. Like we still have like 8 weeks until WrestleMania, so a lot could happen. But I just don't know if the end goal. Like I'm kind of hoping it isn't one of those things where it's like you have like a whole bunch of multi-person matches. Like I don't want like a whole bunch of multi-person matches, or you have those ladder matches, so stuff along the lines of that involves a multi-person matches. Like I don't know. I just want one of those feuds where it's like a one-on-one person with like some story in there that factors in and makes sense. And then you also got to tie in like what's going on with like the women's tag team titles, because we have that current storyline that's currently going on that we saw last Friday with like the footage where it's a red herring with the whole Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez. Their titles are on the line next week on Raw against Liv Morgan, Raquel. Is Liv and Raquel gonna win? Is Bianca and Naomi gonna retain? We saw reports of Jade Cargill possibly coming back. So is Jade gonna be coming back to factor in when they possibly lose the titles or whatever? Like, I don't really know. Like, I can understand the frustration. Mainly it probably stems off of like important things that they want to be a part of. Like when it comes to like basically like, let's say if I was like Lyra Valkyria, and I'm not trying to speak for her because I'm not Lyra, and for all we know, Lyra could just be happy with what she's doing. She's probably happy that she made history as the first women's intercontinental champion, just like Chelsea's happy that she's the first women's United States champion. So things might be going in their favor and they don't really care. But let's say I am Lyra for like, you know, a minute. It could also be one of those things where they want to be in like a meaningful program. They want something special heading into WrestleMania because it is her first Mania. So maybe she wants to have like a meaningful program with a Becky Lynch or somebody that like really like brings the fight to her when it comes to making that title feel important, like elevating it. Because that was the whole idea behind these mid-card titles, was to make them feel special in some sort of way. So, you know, that could also be a possibility, like just beating in meaningful programs that are just being thrown together in a match or a showcase just to be added onto the card, just to be a part of WrestleMania. Like, it could just be like having like a solid idea in mind outside of like what we normally see, where it's like, okay, tag match, this, that, whatever.
Yeah, and like, so I brought up the list of the roster, like, and I'm looking at the women's roster from like the entire women's roster, and I mean, because there's one argument to be made that some have that I've seen that okay, well, if Lyra wasn't going to face Bayley, then who will? Like, who are these main event talents? Who would you put up against there? And it's like, you know, when you kind of look at the roster. And I had this realization when I brought it up, when I brought up the list before we went on, actually. Both Raw and SmackDown, their women's division is kind of barren. Like, okay, so let me just list off a few names from the Raw roster real quick. Alba Fire, she's still contracted to the WWE. She's not doing anything. So, okay, she's in the not doing anything column. There's Asuka, who's injured. There's Bayley, who, I mean, she's main event talent for them. Dakota Kai, who just won that number one contenders match. Ivy Nile, who lost that number one contenders match. Io Sky, who has a match against Rhea Ripley for the title. Kairi Sane, who's also injured. You have Kiana James, who's also injured. So already right there, there's 3 injuries. Liv Morgan, who just got out of the world title picture and is trying to get into the tag division.
And
Maxine Dupree. Maxine Dupree, Natalia, Raquel Rodriguez, Rhea Ripley, who's your world champion, Roxanne, who just got onto Raw, Shayna Baszler, technically Scarlett, you know, even though she hasn't really had a televised match, she's still a talent that has wrestled before in the company, and Zoe Stark. So it's like, you had some names on there that, could have been put into the qualifiers and all that, and you don't really see them making it into the qualifiers, so I get that argument. But, like, when you just kind of look at the field right now, it's kind of barren to have, like, enough of a division to really do something meaningful with some people. I mean, again, like, maybe you could do something with the IC title, but, you don't really have much for your main event picture. And I mean, that's just Raw. I mean, if I went through SmackDown, it's not much different from it. Like, when you go through SmackDown, there's maybe one or two names, possibly three, that aren't being used right now, or at least regularly on TV, that aren't injured, you know? So, like, maybe part of it is just maybe the women's division just needs a shot in the ass, you know? I mean, we praise NXT for their women's division, and when you look at the list that they have, even beyond like the top three that you can mention right now, um, like they're in NXT's in a really good spot. And I mean, I know Charlotte just got back. Becky's supposed to be back soon, from what we heard. But it's just maybe the argument here to be had is there's not really many women on the roster.
Yeah.
And I mean, it just goes back into that whole argument, hell, that I made months ago about the whole, like, maybe there should just be one mid-card women's title that floats, you know? Because again, when you look at it, that would make more sense. So that way you could have a more fleshed out division if you're gonna keep the women's tag titles, 2 world titles, and like a 1 or 2 mid card titles. Like, I don't know, man. I think maybe that might be more of the argument, is to bolster the divisions up a little bit.
Yeah, because I know there was like discussion earlier about like the whole mid-card scene, which, like Watkins said, I get what people are trying to say, because people are saying, oh, well, you can't have a certain person involved because of how they're looked at, which I understand that completely, trust me. Like, I understand why they make the decisions that they do when it comes to certain people being involved in matches, like the whole thing with Chelsea and Lyra. I get it. But it's like I brought up before with like the whole Lyra situation, where it's like you could have easily done a program between Bailey and Ivy to get a shot in the chamber, and you could have had Lyra costing Ivy just to build into that story, so that way you could build a story with Lyra and Ivy when it came to that match that they're already teasing, alongside what was going on with Bailey, so you could tie that into her getting a shot at the Elimination Chamber. You know, same thing with Roxanne, because obviously neither of them are winning it. That's just going to extend their feud even further when it comes to Bailey eliminating Roxanne, or Roxanne eliminating Bailey from the chamber. Then they extend that for Mania, because that's something Bailey wants to do with Roxanne at WrestleMania, is giving her a profile match at the big stage, because she wants to help elevate a new talent. But, you know, also you got to look at it on how people feel about the situation, which, again, I'm just going to come out and say this because they're very respectful in our community. Just because people have different opinions on things doesn't mean you need to shit on them or clown on them or whatever, because I'm not a fan of that. Like, you got to look at things from their side. Just because a lot of people are doing certain things doesn't mean you jump in and do it yourself. Because, I mean, if you look at it, and I'm trying to build somebody that's credible, I wouldn't want them losing matches. Like, imagine having Cody Rhodes as pretty much your main champion, coming out maybe once a month he loses a match against somebody. That's not a good look on your champion, you know, constantly losing matches. You didn't see Roman getting booked like that. You don't see, like, your champion's supposed to remain undefeated unless you're trying to tie in a program between so-and-so to get a match. If you have one of those things play out where it's like, okay, if you pin this person, then they can get a match at it. Or if you're trying to figure out who the next contender is going to be, that's a different story. But it's like, you look at what Walk had said when it came to like some of the, like, here's what I would personally do. Like, you have Alba Fire on her own. I know that she recently had a match in main event against Lyra. I assume Lyra went over that match because she is the champion. But I would just use this as a way where it's like, okay, Alba's on her own. She was Kaylee Ray during the NXT UK. Try to build her as a singles competitor. Try to see what you could work out of that. Start building more stars. Asuka, if she was here, that's another big name to add into the division. Everybody knows Asuka. Everybody loves Asuka. She could really help things out with that. Becky, whenever she factored into anything, she always helps out with what's going on with her. You have kind of look at people. Kairi Sane, you know, same thing with her and Asuka working together, or even putting Kairi in like the Intercontinental picture on Raw. You could do something with that. Same thing with Kiana James.
Yeah.
Natty could easily fit into something like that.
Yeah. And like one thing I wanted to point out too, like, and this was actually a tweet from her. Shayna Baszler had even pointed out, like, hey, you know, like just a few years ago, I was put into the Elimination Chamber and I beat everyone, but I don't get a shot. So it's like, you know, yeah, if you look back at some of the history that they've had, yeah, why isn't somebody like Shayna Baszler trying to being rebuilt back up now? You know, like, you're just going to have her sit at catering now that her talk piece of Sonya Deville's gone? You know, and Zoe Stark too. Like, how are we supposed to make people better if you're not going to book them or even use them in any sort of way, you know?
Yeah, that's
like,
that's the thing.
that's, yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing too, because it's like, look at Shannon Baszler, for example. She was somebody that was really high on like the black and gold days of NXT. I think she was the one that actually took the title off of Ripley, if I'm not mistaken, right? Or was it someone else?
I think it was the other way around. Like Ripley, because they had like a blood feud going on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But it's like she was pretty much a main event player there. And yes, I do agree. Her stock is down. I mean, can you really argue with that? No. But at the same time, a way you could do that without, you know, being an asshole and going after people online, which I don't know why people do that nowadays. It's wrestling. It's a scripted sport. Grab a glove, get in the game. We're just talking about this for fun on our show.
Exactly.
You can use this where she's having nothing matches, where, let's say, hypothetically, she's facing somebody throughout the week. She's building up her stock again. Maybe she does some crazy angle. People start getting invested in her again, and then she can eventually get to where she needs to be. You could potentially do that because, I mean, for fuck's sake, look at Solo Sikoa, for example. Yes, he was involved in the bloodline, and yes, he was a laughingstock because he had this big losing streak where whenever Roman was in a feud with somebody, he always went up against Solo, and then Solo was kind of like, oh, you can't beat me. But then LA Knight beats him, Cody beats him, Drew beats him. Whoever's going up against Solo ends up beating him. And then you look at how Solo reevaluated his character post WrestleMania 40. He became the tribal chief, and now he actually stands out a little bit more. And now some people actually care to see what he's going to be doing on screen. I mean, that's why a lot of people have their eyes set on everything that's going on between him and Jacob, you know, tying to that whole entire story when Solo came out there, grabbed the mic, didn't say a word, walked off. Now Jacob has his eyes set on him. You even saw how Jacob was last week. Solo, what are you doing? Like, why did you walk out on us? Why are things heading on this direction, etc., so on? So it's like, you can't always use that excuse where it's like, oh, well, somebody's like, it's from like falling grace. They can't really rise to the top again. Solo's a good example. Yes, maybe he has the bloodline there to really give him that extra rub at the end of the day. He was another person people didn't really care to see on television sometimes, and it's still like that till this day, but at least he did something to benefit himself in the long run. But that's something you could see, because I feel like it's the best thing Shayna and Zoe could do right now is, since Sonya's gone, they can try to do something to stand out, but they haven't been on television. And then you look at SmackDown side of things, like you said, like Alexa Bliss, not really worried about her. She's already self-made.
And she just got back too, so it's like, okay.
Yeah, and you could easily involve her in a world title program, because I'm not taking that out of the park because she's been a world champion. Or she could be involved for like the US title, or she could do something with the Wyatt Six. So she has 3 different branches that she can go down. Deep Fab, easily have her involved in like the mid-card scene for the US title. It's already been teased. Bianca, self-made. Candice LeRae, she's a speed champion, but she could also be doing something with Nia if it's a tag team titles or the mid-card titles. Chelsea, self-made, already has something going on with her. Jade already has an ongoing story with Bianca and Naomi. Katana Chance and Kaden Carter had a lot of hype with them during the NXT. I was expecting a lot for them when they headed on the main roster. I don't know what's going on with them, but if you really want to keep pushing these tag titles, get them involved in the tag scene, get them involved in some sort of program to stand out. Michin, currently in the U.S. title program. Naomi, again, self-made. Nia, she's in the main event scene. Nikki Cross, Wyatt Six. Piper Niven, like we discussed, you could possibly use that as a storyline with Chelsea Green down the road. Tiffany Stratton, she's pretty much good. And then Zelina Vega, I mean, out of them all, she could easily factor in to like the U.S. title program. If they want to do something with her with the world title, just to have a little fun program, you could do that. You can evolve her with Andrade, try to do a little spin on what they did all those years ago. Or when Malachi comes back, I mean, you could even have them doing something together. I don't expect that, but still, there's like a lot of things that you could venture down with her. And then,
yeah,
I just feel like the thing that they really need to do, just looking at all these cuts that they've been doing recently, is I feel like unless you have a plan with these ladies when it comes to involving them on the main roster, don't call them up and leave them on NXT.
Yeah, it's simple as that, you know. And that's the thing. Like we spent the night to just kind of, you know, give our thoughts and like where things can go. It's just there's something going on with WWE when it comes to like booking their women's division, and I mean you can kind of translate this too into the tag team division as well. It's just like, you know, why aren't we just using the talent? Why aren't we like making something more of what we have and all that? And yeah, we just want what's best for the women's division, because like there's a lot of great talent in there, a lot of great superstars, and just people that are willing to do whatever it takes to put on a good product and show what they can do. And we want them to be able to show what they can do, because with some of these people, we know what they can do. Just you gotta book them. You gotta book them properly, and I get it. There's only a finite amount of time that you could use on your shows, but hell, freaking SmackDown's 3 hours. You know,
Yeah, no.
there's something right there. You know, I mean, I don't know, but hopefully, because that's the thing. It's like this isn't the first time we've had talks like this before in the wrestling sphere. I mean, again, like Sean Ross Sapp in his quote mentioned 2022. There's one. You could keep going back in time to like, you know, 2016, like late 2016, when Charlotte and Sasha kept playing hot potato with the title belt. Just a year even before that with the whole women's revolution thing. Before that, the whole divas like give divas a chance thing and all that. Like it's a constant battle that's going to be happening, and it's just we want forward progression. The US title and the IC title, they are a start, and they are in their infancy. It's just when you do stuff like leave your newly crowned IC champion off of TV for weeks, and then have her first televised match be a loss for a qualifying match, that's when people start questioning what's going on. You know, that's why we have a big topic right now about this, and probably why news articles and things like Sean Ross Sapp said happen and all that.
Yep.
Yeah. But I'm good with kind of leaving the topic there, because I mean, I think we got our piece out a little bit, and you know, gave some constructive criticism and all that, because again, at the end of the day, we just want what's best for our favorites and all that. Any closing thoughts about what we've talked about tonight, or you know, any maybe random plugs you have or anything?
Outside of that, I hope I get better. So I apologize to people listening.
Yes.
To hear me coughing and stuff. I can't help it. But I don't really have anything else going on besides like tomorrow when we cover SmackDown, because I feel like that's like the main talking point, really, because I'm just gonna look at it to where it's like The Rock could just be coming in tomorrow, just announce WrestleMania 42 location.
Yeah.
But he's a guy where you never know what could possibly happen. He could be switching plans around. So now that he's announced, I mean, it's definitely going to be an interesting show once me and you talk about it. I'm not sure if Vash is going to be on there tomorrow, but
Yeah.
When me and you talk about the show tomorrow, that's going to be very interesting to see what goes down on that show.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
Because he could do whatever the fuck he wants. He's not restricted either. You can't just say, "Oh no, Rock's just doing this." He could do what he wants. That's the thing about the Rock.
He's the final boss. He's on the board. He can do whatever the hell he wants. So yeah, no, tomorrow's SmackDown is gonna be must watch. Weebs of the Ring tomorrow's more than likely gonna be must watch. So make sure you guys again. I saw Vash in the chat below. Make sure you all subscribe so that way you don't miss when we go live with our podcast episodes and all that. But yeah, well, I mean, with that said, we're gonna go ahead and just end the show right here. So thank you everybody for coming out, checking us out, in the chat. If you're in the comments too, let us know how you thought of all these news topics we talked about, the things with AEW, NXT, our big topic tonight. Let us know down in the comments, and also wish drop of healthy recovery from this illness that is like plaguing him right now, because it sucks a lot.
I hate it.
Yeah, so oh yeah. But again, thank you for listening to Grappling with the Week. Before we head out, as always, again, be sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms. All the handles are right there in the yellow underneath the screen for you guys. We got, the main channel, the sister channel, you got Vash's stuff, you got Drop stuff, you got my stuff, and also you got a wonderful hashtag there known as Weebs of the Ring. Be sure to use that to interact with us before, during, or after these shows, and that's a great chance to give us feedback so that way we can continue to improve the show as we go along. Grappling with the Week is presented by Anima We Studio. Thanks to our production team for all of your hard work. Thank you for joining us, and a special shout out to you, Stu. That's right, you right out there. I know you're busy getting ready for John Cena's retirement tour, but just again, as always, thank you for helping out with the recording of this podcast. Have a good night, everybody, and stay safe. Be out there, and we will see you tomorrow night for Friday Night Smackdown.
See you guys.